What's going on, everyone? You're welcome once again to David Data Channel. And on today's video, we're going to be continuing our A to Z series of DBT, and we're on the letter E, and we're going to be talking about environment variables. Environment variables are an important feature on DBT that allows you to customize your DBT project's behavior based on the environment it is running, both enhancing security and flexibility of your DBT project. Just before we get started, if you've missed the previous videos in this series, you can check that in the link above and the link in the description below as well. Alright, so if you're coming here for the first time, I'm super excited to have you here. Thank you so much. You're a returning viewer. Thank you so much. Please, I would like you to hit that subscribe button. Yeah, hit the subscribe button and also hit the like button as well. And also the notification bell so you're notified once a new video drops in on the channel. Alright, so let's dive into environment variables. So what are environment variables in DBT? Environment variables in DBT allows you to separate your code from configuration in such a way that you can set parameters based on your context in any environment you're working on, and securely store credentials like database credentials or connection credentials, like in a very secure manner. Now, this flexibility allows you to work securely within different environments. Could be your development environment, staging environment, or your production environment. You can easily swap within environments based on whatever it is you are doing. Now, you can use your environment variables in either DBT Core or DBT Cloud. So one common example of using environment variables in DBT Core is on your connection credentials in your profiles.yaml file. We're going to be looking at this from a DBT Cloud perspective. Because profiles.yaml files is not on DBT Cloud, what does your environment variables look like on DBT Cloud? How can you set that up, and maybe some use cases that you can use environment variables on your project? Alright, so environment variables in DBT must be prefixed by dbt underscore or dbt underscore env underscore secret or dbt underscore env underscore custom underscore env underscore. So when you're setting up your environment variables on DBT Cloud, your environment variable name key should have these prefixes so that DBT can help identify that these are environment variables and then can apply them accordingly in your project. And when setting up environment variables on your DBT project, there are several levels of hierarchy or precedence that come up when looking at your project. So if you take a look at this image from DBT documentation, you see that the lowest level is your Ginger function default argument. So when you call your environment variable function, your Ginger environment variable function, that's the lowest level, right? And then next level is your project default. So if you set your environment variable on a project level, it's going to override what you have set up on any model, like any model you use the Ginger function for on any model. If you set up on development environment or deployment environment, that will supersede what you have on your project default. And then if you have a personal override or job override based on the job settings, that would override what you have in there. So this is the order of precedence that DBT Cloud takes when implementing environment variables that you set up, either on a model level or a project level, environment level, or on a job level. All right, so we can take a look at our DBT Cloud environment and see what this looks like. So if we go to environment, we would see the environments we have. You could create more environments if you wanted to, based on anything you want. Based on your environment type, you could be general for deployments rather. Could be general, staging deployment, or production deployment. But we don't want to create any environment. We already have a prod environment. So if you go to environment variable, which is our interest, so like I said, your environment variables in DBT Cloud must be prefixed with dbt underscore dbt underscore env underscore secrets underscore right. And then yeah, environment variable keys are uppercase and case sensitive. And when referencing environment variable, um yeah, these keys are uppercase and case sensitive when referencing them in your project code, right? So really this is how you set up your DBT variable, your environment variables on DBT Cloud. You put in your key and whatever value you want. So your project default overrides whatever you have on your model, right? This is what your project default. This is what is used for your development, and this is what is used for your deployment environment, right? This is really how it works. Like we talked about the order of the overriding ability. So your this environment overrides what you have on your project. And if you go to your jobs, let's go to our jobs. We have a job somewhere here, so let's check this job. So if you go to settings, and then we come to advanced settings, environment variables here. So if we put any environment variable here, right, it's going to override. So if we put something and say, oh, for the job, for this particular job, I want to override what is here, so it's going to override this is an inherited value from what we have set up on the environment. So your job environment variables override what is in your environment overrides what's in the project overrides what's in on your models. So let's just give a simple example of using your environment variables on dbt cloud. So let's say, for example, you have your data warehouse, and let's say my data warehouse right now is Snowflake, compute warehouse. So let's go back to environment variables, and let's say, for example, let's say you have a large warehouse. Let's say this my warehouse is like extra small XS. You have like an extra large data warehouse that you want to use to run large models, or maybe incremental models, for example. And the only one that those models to run, maybe you want to use that data warehouse only when it's on deployment or deployment environment rather. So your project default would be compute warehouse, your development would be that warehouse you have decided for development, and then your deployment environment warehouse would be the warehouse you have decided to use for deployment, maybe because of the incremental models or the large models you're running on that deployment environment. So you could set those values here, and this is your key. And then you want to now set up the key, you have to go to your settings. So if you go to our account settings, and then we go to credentials, and then you see that I have put in this environment variable. I've called the environment variable here. This is the same way you're going to call it on your dbt core dbt cloud. All right, everyone, so there you have it. Your dbt environment variables are basically there to help you separate code from your config and help you move flexibly in such a way that your project configurations work as you expect them to work in different environments, be it development environment or production environment. Alright, so I really hope you got a thing or two out of this video. Please, I'd like you to hit the subscribe button, right? I know you've gotten something from this video. Please do hit the subscribe button and the like button as well. It's going to help the algorithm to help move this video and other videos like this to people who are going to like and wants to watch this video. Thank you so much. Till we meet in our next video. Bye for now. God bless you.